Welcome back to Bleeding Rainbow Comics. I'm LJ.
And I'm Win.
And today we're going to be tackling Season 1 of Batman Cape Crusader on Prime Video. So we're going to start off, we're going to be talking about the technical aspect of the show. We're going to be discussing some of the characters, including the Rogues Gallery of Villains that appear in the show. Then on brand for us, we're going to talk about the representation in the show, followed by our final rating. So without further ado, let's get into the technicals. So I have notes for animation, the music, the sound design. I overall thought that the animation was pretty much like a modern Batman animated series.
Yeah, it was kind of like Batman the Animated Series meets Archer in a way.
Yeah, especially in some of the way that they drew their faces a little bit more harsh, and I was a big fan of the guy liner.
Yeah.
You can tell they clearly took inspiration from Batman the Animated Series, but then they added enough to make it feel like its own thing, which I think is good for this show in particular because I feel like it is different than the other Batman shows we've seen, and it takes some big swings, and some swings hit home runs for me, and others not so much. But it looks like its own thing. It feels like its own thing. And story-wise, it is very much its own thing. I do like Bruce's mascara. I think he looks pretty fabulous. Music-wise, I think that the music is pretty on point for Batman, the Animated Series inspired show.
It's more of your repertoire anyway. Is the music part.
Well, musicality. It very much is on brand. It uses a lot of the same instrumentation and some of the same motifs. Sound design, I thought the sound design was excellent, especially in like the fight scenes and stuff like that. It helped it hit harder physically. And so like when Batman hits 3 people with his Batmobile, you hear those thuds and it just...
That was great.
It was, and it really sells the scene more. So I think overall, the animation, the music, and the sound design are worth giving a shout out here because I think they did a great job.
Yeah, overall animation I liked. I didn't like some of the designs of some of them, but
of the characters or background?
Characters.
Are they characters we're going to discuss?
Probably.
Okay, then mention it on the character. All right, moving on to the characters. So first up, we have Batman / Bruce Wayne. Spoilers for those of you that didn't know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. I thought he was a pretty believable Bruce. He was pretty good.
I like
it dove into the Bruce side, which sometimes we kind of ignore. Some Batman projects lean too heavy into the Batman and forget to do like the human side of him. I thought he was charming, quick on his feet, humorous. I also liked the voice work where it was doing the deeper Batman sound, but it didn't sound as grungy, like that forced, like the ridiculous Batman sound. I thought that it was homage to the original without trying too hard.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, I like this Batman. He hits hard, he takes no prisoners, and he just straight up hits people with the Batmobile without thinking about it. So I do like that this is a more grim Batman, but to counteract that, the Bruce seems a little bit more bubbly.
Yeah, well, because it's an act.
Yeah, but I feel like in a lot of Batman media, Bruce is always shown as just this broody emo kid, and I liked that they kind of got away from that, and it just gave more well-roundedness to the character.
He's very much playing the fun playboy when he's out and about as Bruce.
Yes, less emo, more Johnny Storm-esque. Anything else about Batman?
Overall, I'm not really a fan of the OG designs from like original cartoon or original comic book stance. Like his ears are ridiculous to me. Other characters are like that too, that I'll talk about when we talk about each character individually, but I can't get on board with the OG look. That's one of the,
and then there's me, and I like more classic looks. I don't mind. I like that it kind of looks a little goofy because I think if they reined it in even more, it would just look like a ripoff of Batman the Animated Series. So if I move a little bit, you can actually see him a little bit. But I think for an animated Batman, for me, I don't know what you have against long cowls because you didn't like Wolverine's long. But I like it. I think it gives it a little bit of uniqueness to where if you see that Batman, you know, oh, it's from this show. I don't know. In this picture, the belt isn't as loud. But in general, I think his belt is a little bit loud and it is a little bit distracting. So that's kind of my only complaint about the
It was
costume.
like that in the Batman animated series too. So,
but I mean, I've never been a fan of Batman's outfit, anyways. But I liked it. Alfred, this one, I wasn't really a fan of the design of Alfred or the characterization of Alfred.
No, he's overall not good.
Well, and something that I like to consider when watching an Elseworld story or a new interpretation of a character, can I look at this character and know that it is supposed to be this classic character?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever changes are made, is it homage enough to the original to where I understand?
Yeah.
And I do think that it fell a little bit flat. And then especially it gone by his personality. I thought that he was as sarcastic as Alfred was supposed, or as I picture Alfred to be, but I think he should be sassier. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that he needs a little bit more fire in his personality.
Yeah, a little bit of that Britain swag.
Yeah. And I think that he was very much like submissive to Bruce, but when I picture Alfred, one of his defining features is that he is one of the only people that can kind of put Bruce in his place.
Yeah, he kind of seems goofy and oafy to me, and it's not Alfred. That is nothing I would describe for Alfred.
Right, and I think it kind of goes because I actually don't have.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He also looked a little too young for me for Alfred.
Oh, that I don't care about. Character ages I really don't care about because I don't think his age is super important.
It is.
Because it can be.
He raised Bruce, so he'd be much older than Bruce. He's like Bruce's parents' age.
But if he looks a little bit younger, I can forgive that. Like I think that one, it is a cartoon. And this cartoon, all of the adults they kind of all look the same age to an extent.
Yeah.
Other than Gordon, who I don't have him on this list because I don't think that character-wise there was a whole lot going on. I think that most of the focus from Commissioner Gordon, and that might have been in other projects, went to Barbara, which I'm totally fine with. Because I think Barbara was pretty fleshed out, but I think that Alfred and Gordon kind of got the same like sweep under the rug.
Yeah, I didn't mind their designs for Barbara or
I thought their designs were fine.
I kind of like this trend of race bending Gordon.
I was about to say, this isn't the first time.
No, it's not. They've been doing it a lot more lately, and they've been doing it with Perry White too, with Superman stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of I'm digging it. I'm digging the race bent of those characters. And it is interesting that along with that, you need to race bend Barbara because, or
else it gets really confusing.
Yeah, which I'm not minding. I appreciate it. I appreciate that as a diversity point for them. It doesn't change anything in their backstory of the character.
Yeah, and I think the biggest change that they have for Barbara is that she's a lawyer.
Yeah, I did not like that.
In the context of this show, I think that something I respect about it is because I feel like a lot of Batman projects lean too far into the Bat family, which this show is very much not about the Bat family, at least in season 1.
Yeah.
And so finding something else for the other characters to do, I think that's why that decision was made. And that's why it makes sense to me, because she still gives very much the personality of Barbara, but in a new role.
I really like that eventually Barbara becomes a new police commissioner and stuff like that later on in life.
And I don't think that it's set up to where she couldn't.
Yeah, I did like that she had a relationship with Harvey Dent. And now that I'm thinking about it, there isn't really any lawyer-esque characters in the Batman mythos, which is funny.
Not that I can think of.
Dent. It's just Harvey Dent.
So nobody to go against him, but now I liked the dynamic between the two.
I did like that. I did appreciate that.
I also think
I guess I could forgive her being a lawyer. He's still
Well,
on the wall. So.
with the assassination attempt of Commissioner Gordon, I think that it might actually be setting up that in the long run. And so if they're taking him out and Montoya and Barbara are more on the front lines of fighting the corruption within the police force, I think that we could easily be setting up for Barbara to take over.
Yeah.
Or if that doesn't work out, to set her up as Oracle or something. Like I see a clear path forward for her, and I liked the changes, and I liked how they made sure in the very first episode to show her relationship between her and her dad. Unfortunately, I think that that's all of the character development that Commissioner Gordon got. But I liked what they did with it, and I like Barbara better. I find her more interesting, and I think that it's very easy to accidentally make the character of Barbara Gordon an annoying character, and they didn't do that in this show. So I want to applaud them for that, because there have been a couple of shows where she's been a little too much.
The only depiction of her that I have not liked was in the Titans show. I did not like Barbara Gordon in the live action Titans.
There's a lot of character decisions from that show that I won't mention. But going on to Montoya, I thought that, one, I liked her voice work. So whoever the voice actress is, I should have probably looked that up in advance. So I'll put her name here. I thought she did a really good job. I would be interested in seeing more of her character, because I didn't really feel like she had much opportunity to shine this season. I think she was a very much just a plot conduit. And I also thought that her relationship with Harley was awkward. It was weird to me. And I just need to see it more, but I don't know if it was
just overall in all media. They try to do so much with Montoya, and it just never pans out. Like, they try so hard to involve her, and it's never worthwhile. I like the character too, so I would love to see something happen with her in any media. It's just, she always kind of falls flat on her face.
Well, I think with this, there are a lot of characters to go through, and very much it is a rogue of the week show. So I think that there's clear times where Montoya is, I am investigating, I have to be the dry person in the room. And then we dive a little bit into her personal life, and there's not really a balance there. I think we see her as more of the very dry, no humor, like self-conscious.
I wasn't sure about her design either, because she's usually depicted very athletic.
She could be athletic. We didn't see her sleeveless.
Oh, we didn't see her in any form other than that big boxy outfit she had on.
Listen, some of us need boxy outfits to cover up.
I thought that about almost every character. They made them a little too boxy and big for my liking.
I think that might have been kind of like how Batman the Animated Series, everybody had super broad shoulders and super tiny waists, so maybe they were just trying to not
do the
tiny waist. But no, I personally liked her design. I wish that she had more to do other than be the fill-in cop when Gordon is off the table. And then on to our final non-rogue kind of rogue, Flass and Bullock. I thought that they were the biggest threat of the season because they're inside manipulating the police force.
Which was interesting for Bullock. He's always been kind of the jerk cop, but he was always on the good side. So it was interesting to see him as a bad
influence,
as a bad cop. I don't think I liked it. I thought I would. I don't think I liked it. I missed old Bullock, which is saying a lot because I've never liked Bullock in general.
I'll say I have no emotional connection when it comes to either of these characters.
So it was interesting.
I think narratively, I think that they were a good juxtaposition between all of the big costumey, very animated, other than just drawn animated personality. Rogues characters. I thought that they were a good, more grounded, negative force and the antagonist of the series. That's the word I'm looking for. So I did like their inclusion, and I think that having more than one of them, I don't know, I think they could have been combined into one character, but it also seems like more of a threat because there's more people on the inside.
I liked them as a duo. I wouldn't. I was just surprised that I missed Old Bullet because I never thought anything of that character. It's pretty much all I
One,
gotta
it
say
could
about
have been to make you not suspect that he was like that.
Yeah.
So moving on to all of the rogues, we got plenty of them in season 1. It has been renewed for season 2, so we'll see what rogues we get then. First up, and this is loosely based in the order that they appear in / when they're the most relevant to the plot. First up, the most controversial one that lit the internet on fire for no damn reason. Let's talk Penguin.
I loved it.
I did too. I thought she was great.
I think it adds a lot of nuance to that character. Any penguin that we've seen have kind of been the same. They're a mob guy. I know in Batman Returns he was depicted really gross. I did like that depiction.
And then that somehow got into everybody's minds as that's how he always is. But
which
no,
he's not in the comic books and in almost every video game. Yeah, he's like a gross fat guy, but like he's not deformed or penguin-esque. He's an arms dealer.
Yeah.
And he got the name Penguin because he dresses up and he's short and pudgy.
Same.
It makes no sense that everybody's like, oh, we need a gross penguin. No, I actually kind of liked the classier up.
And I mean, they did make her pretty.
No, and I don't know. I've thought a lot about this character of the penguin, and it's fun. I would like to see them dive more into like, since she had those 2 kids, it'd be fun if she just has lots of kids, and they're all by like different fellas and
in her penguin crime cult.
Because I mean, that's part of penguin cult, like actual penguin culture too. Is like the men are lower down the totem, and they try to impress the female penguins and stuff, and
they also sit on the eggs.
Yeah, so it's a fun like, oh, this is a dominant woman. She's a penguin. Like
that's true.
It's interesting
because in penguin culture, the women are the tough ones, so it would make sense that a villain that is penguin themed would be female. But I also I don't think that the reimagining was just to gender bend it.
No,
I really like the mobster mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Vibe. I think really that it added a lot to her character, and it made me more intrigued by her character. Because this is the only time that I've actually cared that the penguin was on the screen. When any other penguin that I've seen, I just have not connected to that character. But for some reason, I really liked this one. And her goons calling her mother and stuff.
Yeah,
and I think that it was worth it. I think it was worth the change.
I actually think it really added to the character of Penguin.
Yeah, and that's when, going back to earlier, when characters are reimagined, at the root, is it the character, and is the change made to be an interesting take on that character or to amplify it? And I think it's all of the above. I think that Oswalda Cobblepot, I think it elevated her character, added something new to it, and made her more interesting, while at the base having all of the qualities that you would expect from Penguin.
Yep.
Like, I think that this is one of the big swings that they took that I thought that they home run.
Yep, I agree. I would love to see this Penguin going forward in other media.
She was ruthless. She didn't care. She's like, oh, I killed the wrong kid. And that's fine. Understandable. Going on, Clayface. I thought that Clayface being disguised as all of Montoya's interviewees was a fun thing.
It really played into the whole Clayface of what he could do.
Well, and the only thing that I don't like about it is that this is the reason that Montoya was so dry in those scenes, because he was the one you were supposed to be focusing on. He was the goofy part of it. And so at the expense of a little bit of Montoya's emotionality,
personal growth,
personal
character,
everything. I liked this version of Clayface. I like it better when they have him need to mold his face instead of like in the Harley Quinn animated series where he just spins and he's just a new character.
Yeah, or it's just a thought and it changes. I do like the fact that he has to mold himself.
And that it falls pretty easily. Overall, I liked the more grounded approach to the character with him and Harvey Dent, which we'll get to later. But But yeah, I thought he was plenty gross, and it was less fantastical and more, here's what you would expect to see in Gotham. Y'all look gross.
Yeah, it was very body dysmorphia-esque. Kind of like the Elastigirl.
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
When she starts falling apart, and you
Yeah.
just see,
It's a cool
I liked
take.
it.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite parts of that show. Anything else on Clayface?
No.
All right, Catwoman. Okay.
I hated this Catwoman.
We have very different opinions on this.
I like the voice that voice actress for the character. I liked the out of costume design of the character. I like that we leaned with the black hair instead of the blonde. Hated the outfit. I hate the original outfits. Like, makes no sense.
How did you feel about the character?
I mean, the character was fine. I just hated her design.
You just can't get past the character design?
I cannot get past her super suit.
Okay.
No capes.
Okay. Well, I started with the personality of the character, but I loved her personality. I thought she was fun, flirty. She had a hint of danger when she was talking to Bruce. I love that she steals gems and cats. If she just sees a cat, it's hers now.
Yeah, I did like that. That was fun.
Also, one of my favorite parts of that episode, I loved her maid, but I wish that her maid is what Alfred was.
Yeah,
the amount of sass, and I feel like they gave up some of Alfred's sass to make her character more different.
I do like when they pair Catwoman or Selena Kyle with either a maid or a secretary or something to play off of, kind of like Bruce does with Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred. It helps make them seem like the same character and why they are attracted to each other. I liked in the animated series, Selena Kyle had a secretary girl that kind of helped and knew her secret and did things like that. And I liked that she had somebody to bounce off of, like an Alfred.
And I really like this one specifically, just because she was fun.
Yeah, she was fun.
Also, it's like, what is it? Like episode 3, 4. And when you're binging it, you're looking for things to keep your attention and to be fun and bring you back into it.
And I like that she would stab Selena in the back with it, like, "Oh, well, you owed me back pay."
So yeah, you owed me back pay, so I sold all of your stuff, and now I'm piecing out to a cruise.
Yeah,
like honestly, her maid might have been my favorite character of the entire show.
I liked that she was in upper society.
No, she tried to be.
Well, she's usually
supposed to be.
She's usually not. She's usually in the slums of Gotham.
That's why she's got to steal.
But I kind of liked that she was a down on her luck, old money, gone broke.
I'd say I felt like she didn't really steal because she needed to. Like, yes, she did need to, but I feel she just liked stealing.
Yeah, and
like she enough to where she has a reputation to where people are like, things go missing around you. I'm gonna keep an eye on you.
It's kind of like I don't know if you remember this, but like, and I forget which actress it was, but she was a klepto and she got arrested a lot for stealing things.
I don't know. I just think of Centaur World with the klepto centaur.
That's good.
She gave those vibes.
I think it was the actress who was in Beetlejuice. What is that actress?
Which one?
She's in Stranger Things now. She's
what is her name? Hold on.
But I think
I'm gonna feel stupid.
In the 90s or early 2000s, she got arrested a lot for
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder. Yeah, I think that she
didn't need to look that
is a kleptomaniac, or she got caught a lot for stealing when she didn't need to. She just did it. And I like that developmental layer to Catwoman of like, she does it because it's fun and she likes the thrill of being out on the rooftops and things like that. And also brings another layer to it if you really want to get deep into it, of if she marries Bruce, was it for the money? Because she's used to having money and she wanted
for the money and the body.
Yeah, like it just adds more to it of like, you never really know what you're getting with Catwoman.
I mean, because she's like a cat.
Yeah.
You never know what they're thinking. You
exactly.
just assume they're mad
great.
all the time.
It just adds more to her.
So moving on to Firebug. who
Yes.
I really liked him because I just
too.
liked that he was the short little guy that when he saw stuff, he would just imagine everything on
It
fire.
was great.
And
I
it
loved
was
that
he was a
scene.
little bundle of fiery chaos, which is how he saw the world.
Mhm.
I think that narratively he was a good pick for them to fake his escape.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but he was just stupid and fire obsessed, and I liked it. He
Yeah.
just wanted everything to burn. He didn't care what it was.
And I like how they kept calling him Firefly because we're used to the Firefly character, not
But it's
Firebug.
Firebug.
Yeah.
Lesser known fire villain.
Yeah. Which I like that name better. It fits better. They actually call pyromaniacs firebugs.
He's also little, so he's bug-like.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it better. I forgot
crawls
about.
around.
I didn't realize that was a different character than Firefly at first. Yeah, I think I prefer that over Firefly, which is funny because I really like the Firefly character.
Well, and that's something that I like that this show does that a lot of other Batman shows do. They do kind of forgotten rogues because Batman has so many, and that's his calling card. That a lot of them kind of get neglected for long periods of time. So the fact that it's bringing things like Firebug, Nocturna, Gentleman Ghost, I like that.
And there's a lot of overlapping villains for Batman that are kind of the same thing. I think that's another reason why I liked how they gender bent the Penguin, because in some renditions he comes from high society or went to school with Bruce and was picked on a lot for his looks. So it's a different version. It updated it. So overall, I've liked the update so far for the villains.
Yeah, and I think that Firebug specifically was a good update, and I think that he serviced the show well.
Yeah.
Very much a character that you could take advantage of and manipulate however you need to.
Yeah, yeah.
But moving on to Harley.
Oh, I liked nothing about this character. Speaking of upgrades for characters.
I did not either. I didn't like, we'll do your approach. I didn't like her outfit. I did like how she looked as the therapist. I thought that was fine. It wasn't too imaginative.
Well, it's because you don't see a lot of her in that anymore.
I did not like her Harley suit, but I could forgive that if the character was written better.
Yeah.
And so I felt that they tried to swap it and make the Harley persona the more like mastermind, serious, and make the therapist more playful. But I don't think they actually made the therapist more playful. So it's just, there's nothing fun about Harley Quinn. And that's one of the trademarks of her character for me.
As the therapist part, to me, it almost felt like she was trying too hard to be the therapist and lovable and likable and trustworthy. I don't know. It's just, I could see through it. I knew I would. Like, I already knew the character, but even if I was just a random patient
seems sketchy
and didn't know, I just feel like you trying too hard.
Yeah, it was very clear that the Harley persona was her truth and the Harleen was the afterthought, but I don't know. I didn't think it worked. I think that when you have any version of Harley on screen, she should be the most visually interesting thing on screen. And I get what they did in her dungeon, making all of her victims dress in weird fetishy ways. They tried to still add that element, but I don't think it works unless it comes from Harley. If it is Harley being the oddball thing in the shot.
Well, a lot of people have compared her. I know, at least in Grace Randolph's video, she compared Harley to Hugo Strange, like Erase and Gender Bent Hugo Strange. But honestly, I think it leans more into the Mad Hatter.
And I don't think it was crazy enough for Mad Hatter.
No,
I think it was too tame all around.
It was just funky, over-the-top characters that he brainwashed into being that way.
Yeah.
And it seemed very Mad Hatter-esque to me. So if they ever introduce Mad Hatter, I feel like it's just going to be
they probably
been there, done that.
But I think overall, when you think of Harley Quinn, you think bubbly, manipulative, two separate sides that she's able to control quite well. And I don't think there was much of a divide between those two sides.
No.
I did like how quickly she clocked Bruce.
Yeah. I mean, I did like the interactions with Bruce, but I always liked the idea of Harley Quinn as his therapist.
Yeah.
Things like that. I do like when they lean more into the therapy role for Harley Quinn.
I miss her goofiness. And I think if this was the first time I was seeing Harley Quinn in any type of media, I don't think this character would stick with me.
Yeah.
As opposed to every other time I've seen Harley in media, that character is the thing that sticks with me most about whatever media she's in. So I don't know. This was a big swing. I respect them for taking it, but I don't think for me, it did not work. I did not like this Harley. And I mean, she said she died, but she then called Montoya. So she's still in the show. We'll see what they do with her character in season 2. If maybe we're just seeing the beginning of it, and that's why she's not lost it completely yet.
Maybe.
But we'll see where they go with her. Nocturna. She might have actually been my favorite rogue because she was just Wednesday, but more supernatural.
I did like what they did with that character. I like aging her down. Leans more into the immortal vampire-esqueness.
Yeah.
I like that.
But no, I liked her. I thought she was interesting, and I'm never going to complain if you add more supernatural elements to anything. I also thought it was just a good break between the rogues adding more supernatural. But I also liked the Easter eggs with all of the Robins in her episode.
See,
there were a lot of Easter eggs in her episode. So even if it was a lull where she wasn't kidnapping a child,
it was a fun chuckle, but I could have did without it. The
I
Robin thing.
I needed it. Because this, like I said, this show is very much not about the Bat family, at least for season 1.
I don't
so
think
it's
they're
still
going
having
to.
those nods.
I don't think they're going to bring anyone in general, which I do appreciate. I do like that it's about just Batman, and they're finding new ways to bring in these characters so you don't lose them.
Yeah, and I think every Batman project has just been Bat family incessantly.
Which I think less of Superman and Batman family is better.
And that's one thing that I think that this show did well is go back to basics with Batman and focus on Batman.
Yeah.
Which is ironic for me to say because Batman's not one of my favorite characters. In fact, I like a lot of the Bat family more than him, but I appreciate the step back and kind of delving more into him. It made me appreciate him more.
Which I do like all the Bat characters. Like, I love Nightwing and Batgirl and Red Hood.
So I'd say, are you trying to say Red Hood or Black Mask? Because only one of those are in the Bat family.
Yeah.
I think they both should be.
But I mean, I do like those characters, but at the same time, I don't like that there's so many of these.
They overshadow Batman a lot.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be the Batman family. So it's nice. The last 2 rogues that I have on here. I guess last 3. So we have Harvey Dent, who plays a big role in the season.
I really liked his character. I liked this portrayal of Harvey. I liked that you didn't know who you were getting, if it was good or bad, and that's his whole thing. And usually you just see the bad side.
That's how most people feel while having a discussion with me. But I liked his character design. I'm still not sold on if I like the more realism look that they took, because that's more how you would look if acid got thrown on your face versus like this weird goblin thing that he typically has.
Usually pink or blue
or green. But I liked the design. Again, with Clayface, I thought it was a more grounded approach to it, and I see what they did, and I respect what they did. I also think that there was a greater divide between his good and his bad personas,
which
I liked that too, because this is another character that I've never really connected to, but I found him interesting in this series at least. And then the last couple, we have Gentleman Ghost,
which I am not familiar with.
Oh, I'm not either.
I think it's because he's not normally a Batman rogues.
I'd say it was Hawk Girl, and I think it's more in the Hawk territory.
Yeah.
I thought he was all right. I thought he was interesting. Him like possessing Alfred was interesting. Like I said, I'm never going to complain about more supernatural elements in any type of media. I think that Nocturna did it better and went first in the season.
Well, it's more Batman-y. I mean, she's vampire he's bad. Like it just went with him a little more than a Ghost. I think. I don't know. I don't know if I like Batman having a Ghost villain.
I thought it was fine.
I mean, I think it's fun as a character, but I also watch Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So.
And he very much seemed like a Scooby-Doo ghost of the week that gets unmasked at the end. But him and Automatopoeia, I liked Automatopoeia's design. I just thought that the character was overall forgettable. I don't think that they did a lot with him.
I feel that way just about Onomatopoeia in general, comic books and everything. I think he's kind of good concept villain, bad execution I've seen so far of him overall. I think it would be better if he had like some sort of mental disorder to where he can't vocalize, but he can make sounds, mimicry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
needed another minute on the writing block.
Yeah, there's something there with that character in general. Just I've not seen executed well yet.
All right. Moving on, next topic we have representation. Overall, I thought that the representation was good in this show. I don't think it was forced. It was between two LGBT characters. It was there. It wasn't a main topic, but it was important to our main characters.
And they've been notably LGBT in the past. Like it's not like, oh, we need representation. Let's just randomly make this character.
Right. I'm LGBT. Still not sold on the Harley and Montoya relationship, but I understand them. They just didn't. They so far have not had any room to have more characters in this.
Yeah.
So to have Montoya's love interest or to have like Ivy show up, it's a very crowded show as it is. So having them together, I'll see where they go with that. I'll trust them a bit.
I would almost rather have had it be between Barbara and her. There's been a lot of back and forth between Barbara and Harley Quinn and other media anyway.
Yeah.
So I would have been okay if they had but sexually orientated bent. How do you put that? If they made Barbara a lesbian or bisexual, I think that would have been interesting for a Harley Barbara dynamic. But
I mean, she pretty much already is in most of it, at least like the Harley Quinn animated series, she full on has it for Harley. But I agree. I think that the chemistry would have been better between her and Barbara, or Barbara and Harley. I think that the chemistry between Harley and Montoya is just weird because it's not really, I don't think we spend enough time with it to understand what they see in each other or what their relationship is. And like I said, maybe season 2, maybe that's just a setup.
I can also see why you wouldn't do it with Barbara. I mean, you already have 2 LGBT characters. You've already gender bent Penguin. Yeah. Like, we don't want to go into it too much.
Oh, I do. I want the internet to burn. And then wrapping up this video, we have our final rating. But overall, I enjoyed this more than a lot of Batman content. I thought a lot of the swings that they took worked really well. Not all of them did, but they took a lot of big swings. And the ones that did work were like home runs. Totally worth the risk. Like I said, not everything was my favorite take, but I really appreciate the stuff that they got right. So my rating overall is going to be a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Which is really good for me. Like anything above a 5 is really positive for me. But I think 7.5 mostly just because Batman isn't like one of my favorite IPs, but I like that they made me more interested than I am in most Batman content. And I have to give them credit for what swings they did really well.
And Batman is one of my...
Yes. So you are going to have a much different...
Okay. So
are you okay? Do you need a moment?
My original rating before we filmed this was a 4.
Oof. Okay.
Talking about it more in depth, because I mean you do all the setup for the video and stuff. I kind of just jump in and tell you my opinions off the cuff. Talking about it a little more in depth.
Your cuff is deeper now.
I'm going to give it 5.5.
All right, I'll take
5.5.
That's 5.5 is a positive rating.
Because I love what they did with some of the characters, like the Penguin, Harvey Dent, the Bruce Wayne side of things. I do like what they did with those characters. Like we said, it was a swing and it was out of the ballpark, home run. I would love to see it in other media.
But it's
even.
the misses
But
that
it's
just
the misses
draw it back.
that pull it back. I also think they leaned a little bit too much into the noir of it. I do love a good Batman noir.
See, I think they could have gone further, because I think that in their theme song it is very noir, but I don't think that the actual show dives into it as the theme promises. I think that it's a little bit it's like it promises a noir show and then backs off immediately as soon as the show actually starts.
See, I like it for Batman, but it's almost like Casablanca. Like it's almost to that extent of it's comically too much. It just, all of the women are femme fatales, and
see, I love it.
All the guys feel like a very brooding detective. Like it's a little too much on the nose for me with it. Like, let's give it hints of it in Batman, but
listen, Oswaldo Cobblepot's nose is big enough for everything to be on her nose. So
I think the perfect recipe for something like that would have been like the Batman movie.
Yeah.
With a little bit of the Batman animated series in it. They had that stylisticness to it. They put in dashes of it, but it wasn't just in your face.
Yeah. Well, and I think that if they...
But it worked for the Penguin.
It did work for the Penguin. I think that her bubbliness helped. I think that if they would have brought a couple of other characters up to be a little bit more animated, like Harley, if they would have made Harley a more bubbly, a bigger personality, I think that it would have taken away a lot
with
of that.
With as serious and Casablanca everyone else is, they wouldn't have had to up Harley too much more to have made her seem whimsical, just because everybody else was so meh.
Yeah. They dialed her back too much, and it just kind of brought the whole show.
Trying to fit her into that Casablanca
it doesn't work,
and it does not work.
No, her Harleen side kind of worked, but her Harley side did not work.
No, did not.
But there you go. That's our review for
Joker. The Joker reveal at the end.
Oh, the Joker review at the end. Okay. I mean, for me, there's not much to talk about. Like, yeah, it's Batman. We're gonna get Joker at some point. I thought his design was fine. I don't think there was anything special there. But we know we're getting a second season.
That's why I have an issue with it. There was nothing special there. I like that he was trying to perfect his laughing gas.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. But I think we're gonna get a real serious Joker, and it's gonna be a Harley thing all over again.
Well, yeah, all of the other characters in the show have been super serious.
Not like a serious Joker, and they've done that before, and I know where they're going.
That's what you're gonna get,
and
we'll see where they go. Because out of the two, I think between Joker and Harley, I would see Harley as the less serious one, but I also like Joker's a clown. He should be more interesting.
No, Harley's a clown too.
So we'll see. Maybe his sadistic side will be enough to
they're going to lean into
plus his laughing gas, and
they're going to lean more into it being a Jack the Ripper type.
But they also have the feedback from season 1 now, so maybe they can.
Well, if you're listening, we need some laughs from the Joker.
All 30 of our subscribers, if any of you write for Batman Cape Crusader season 2, take this to heart.
We're up to 30 subscribers now. Nice.
I think we're at least at 30 now. But now that's our review of Batman Cape Crusader on Prime Video. The entire season is out now. Give it a watch if you would like. Let us know in the comments below what you think about it. And other than that, I'm LJ.
I'm Lynn.
And this has been Bleeding Rainbow Comics. See ya.